Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. We have a super cool guest. He was an agent for 6 years at Clear Talent, and now he is a manager at Armada Partners. I'm so excited to talk with him and give you guys so much information about being a manager, from being an agent, the ins and outs of the industry. Please welcome Scot Reynolds. Pop on. There he is.
Hey
Hey!
there. Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy you're here. I can't wait to hang out and chat.
I
This is
appreciate
like my
it.
social. This is how I'm social now. I
Oh,
just do podcasts and get to know people. It's so much fun.
I love it. I love it. You know?
So let's get down into it. You're
Yeah.
an agent for 6 years.
Yes.
Tell me about that life, and then tell me what it's like to the different roles that an agent plays to a manager.
Okay. Yeah. The agent life was good, I would say. It was interesting too. It's definitely, being an agent is definitely a grind. Um, after, being there at Clear for 6 years, when I first got there, it was help to grow the department. It was just myself and Brown Ansell, who's the VP of the company, still is. And just over time, it was just a constant, build on the roster and you're constantly grinding. You're trying to just procure appointments for your clients, and it was fun, but also and successful too, because you watch people's careers go from like one co-star to a guest star to a series regular, or we had one kid do one co-star and then a series regular. So that was really fun to watch. But and two, then it's you have like 100 clients, so it's you're
You can't
really
give as much attention to each person as you can as a manager. But what
exactly.
made you go into, what was your inspiration to become an agent, to go into that side? Were you an actor? Were you involved in the industry in any capacity before you started at Dave Shapira? Tell us.
No, I wasn't.
Wow.
I'm a psychology, sociology major. I love TV and film. And so when I first actually got out to LA, I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I had an idea in my head. I wanted to get into the entertainment business. And so while I was still working at a normal job, I had a friend tell me, you should intern at an agency. I think you'll like it. And
Oh,
so I did an internship, and I ended up liking it. I like the idea of when I see breakdowns, I feel like a kid. I see
yeah.
some that I really love. I'm a comic book geek, so I love when everything comes out. I love it. And I just realized too that like the job as an agent is really sales. So, and I've been doing sales since I was 15, so for 20 years now. So it's really what it was, except now this time, instead of selling products and stuff, you're selling people. But it's just something I really dug. And then when I became an assistant, I had a pretty quick track up to agent, because they knew I wanted to be a rep. I wanted to be an agent.
Oh,
So I took on clients my second year, and then after 2 years at DSA, I went to Clear. But so it was just, yeah, no, I'm not I didn't go to a film school, even though I tried to take a class at Florida State when I did, and they said no. They were a very strict school. And they, and I just was, yeah, I was sociology, and then I
great.
just,
That's really helpful. Psych, you have to deal with the mentality of actors. Oh my God,
yeah,
people and helpful for sales as
yeah,
well.
just
Amazing.
just personalities in general, not just the
Yeah,
clients, but like
right,
everybody, cast and
right.
producer, every creative mind too here. And so it did help. So yeah, and then just with the track, and then it's just I've just always enjoyed the representation aspect of things. So, and then going into management, I really over the last few years, I've had friends kind of, and colleagues and stuff like tell me like in my ear that, I would make a better manager. Like, I mean,
Why
I've
is
had,
that? Why?
I
Because
think,
you're a handholder. You like to have a more intimate relationship with the people you represent.
yeah, I was very manager. We were, both of us were at Clear. We were very managerial. I've always been very managerial. I'm a very creative person. I'm a very visual person. So, I mean, I've always enjoyed reading scripts, and then, justify, like, I always say, like, it justified myself, or like when I pitched or anything, I'm like, I see them in this world. I know they can do this role, whether casting said no or not. I was like, but from myself, it justified my thinking.
Right.
But yeah, being able to, I had casting friends tell me that, I'd make a better manager. I had other, friends, and just be able to also explore different territories of the business as a manager that you're capable of doing, instead of like just focusing on just the actors getting TV and film. And in a way, sometimes you lose your creative,
What is that?
mentality.
What is that element that you can do as a manager that you can't do as an agent?
I think you really one can handhold. You can be, really take control and not take control, but be a part of someone's career and help them in different ways. Like and why being creative, sit there, you read scripts for your clients. You have more time to do that,
Mhm.
and and just and then for yourself too, where either you can eventually also produce or get into lit and be creative and like
Yeah.
really, and eventually you want to put something on the screen or whatever it may be. And then just, but yeah, and as you are a manager and you have a smaller list, really kind of help with our clients and be like, okay, really help their trajectory of their career and be like, not this role, not this project,
Mhm.
not just do something just to do it, and make sure each step of the way is something that propels them upward,
So
rather
it
than,
gives you more time to care and more time to really sort of hone in individually on each person versus in an agency, there's so many more people. It's more about the pitch and you can't attach as close to each person or you don't have time to.
I think you don't really have time to. You
Yeah.
can,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's really, really hard because then, you do have 100 people that you are caring about. And it's really just like, let's get the appointments. You still want to make sure you're not just throwing crap to the wall. I'll try not
Mhm.
to curse. I tend to curse. I'm sorry.
That's
And
okay.
then,
That's
but
okay.
like, yeah, throw crap to the wall and hope it sticks. But, cause you're just trying to get everybody an appointment. I mean, but at the same time, you can care as an agent because you see somebody who maybe they're developmental, and you're like, okay, let's find those co-stars, and then go up, and then keep going to the next levels and when you can, but then also if you have the bigger name actors, and you want to make sure that you're going after the top series regulars, top guest stars when they're available. So, but as a manager, you kind of don't just go after a role just to go after it. You're like, okay, let's get them in front of casting when you can now, either Zooms or self tapes, but on something like meaty, something worthwhile, really can show your client's range. Otherwise, sometimes as an agent, you can be like, okay, you don't have any credits, but here's girl number one, boy number one. Like, let's just get that credit. Because I used to always say, let me get that credit, and I'll use my words and spin it. So
Oh, interesting as your sales factor. So let's just discuss a minute. So when actors are starting out and they have no credits, so the agent, either one is helpful to getting your first job. And is
yeah,
it always going to be a one-liner or no? You can
no,
just it doesn't necessarily have to be that way.
no, not at
And
all.
okay. So sometimes actors will come in and get their first series regular in the first couple auditions. I think I have a couple clients that happened to. I
Yeah,
think my client Derek Thieler went from just starting to having a series.
yeah,
So it does happen.
it does. Oh, it does happen.
Does that happen, Scott? How does that happen? How does it all come together to make that person get that job?
You
And
know,
I have another question after
yeah,
that about taking those one-liners and building your credits and moving on from a one-liner to a co-star to a guest star and then taking a one-liner backwards again and how you feel about that. But let's address that first question
okay.
about how does it happen? Sometimes people just get a series.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it doesn't always have to be a one-liner, and that's never the goal. Like,
Of course.
I don't like them. Let's be honest. Like, no
Yeah.
one coming. They're also, those co-stars are the hardest to book. But how it happens, I mean, it's really just the actor is in front of somebody who believes, their rep believes in them, and casting or producers, and it happens. Like, I mean, it does happen. It's happened whether it's one co-star, two, or none. And we've seen it with our clients. And so.
Yep.
Um, and I think I forgot her name, but she's on Riverdale, the redhead. Like, I don't believe she had a credit before Riverdale,
Wow.
and and she was just boom and she got it. But yeah, I mean, it just happens because somebody is there that believes in you. We always say there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, but that's why you sit there and you put in a good impression on casting, and you have a good read, and they push you forward. And sometimes they're the ones that are fighting you, like, this is the person,
Yeah.
or the producers just, or if it's obviously, if it's a pilot or whatever, network studio, and they're not battling for it. But yeah, I mean, it just happens. I think it's, hey, I always tell people, like, this is an industry that you have to persevere. You have to work. This is the way I was raised, was you work hard and it'll pay off, but it's also work hard, persevere, and a little bit of luck will be sprinkled on top.
I love that.
You just don't know when it's going to happen. It can
Yeah.
happen literally the day you get on in town, or it can happen in 10 years. And so I always I always bring up the example because when I first started out as an assistant, my boss at the time, when I started, she passed away 2 months later, but was Catherine Houston. And
Oh,
Catherine Houston, she started late in the game, like maybe 30s, early 40s, and then when she passed away, she had 2 Emmys under her belt because like she worked hard. She, and especially because she had a family to, um, you know, uh, take care of, and got a Emmy for West Wing and then an Emmy for Desperate Housewives. So it happens. I think it's all about working hard and and constantly training and constantly just working on your craft but then just and at the same time too, you want to make sure you find the right team. You don't always just want to find somebody just to find. You don't always just want an agent just to have an agent or managers to have one. You want,
let me ask you, let me interject on that because I have, clients call me all the time going, I met this person, I'm not sure, they want a 2-year contract, a 1-year contract, a 3-year contract. What is the best way to make that decision? And is a 2-year contract too long to ask for, or is it not long enough?
well, from my experience, I've never dealt with a 2-year contract. Whether as an agent or a manager, it's always been a year, and then obviously just kind of recurs. And but I know like with kids, a 3-year contract is pretty standard.
Oh, okay.
So, but 1 year, and then but at the same time, like, hey, if you don't, contracts are scary for everybody.
Yes.
But in a way, they always protect both parties. And I would always say that, hey, after the SAG rule, even a SAG rule is it like 3 months? If it doesn't work out, cool, wash your hands of it, have a great day. This isn't working out. I always kind of feel like I'd never want to sit there and be like, I'm going to really always hold somebody to their contract, especially if they leave and then they go get something else. But
Yeah, but why would you even want someone to stay if they don't want to be there, and vice versa?
exactly, they always say especially some agencies, that you keep the clients on there and you just hope that they drop you instead of vice versa. But
What passive? That's so
what's the
passive
and
aggressive.
then and then you're just sitting there, like, if they do get something cool, you're collecting the money, but you're not really, you know in the end, like, a contract can be a little bit intimidating, and you get a little unsure when people want you to sign the contract. But obviously both parties want to protect themselves. But if you find yourself meeting with somebody that that they're going to wake up every morning and fight on your behalf, then it's worth it. And sometimes that's kind of hard to find, but you can really, I feel like you can tell, like, someone will be extremely enthusiastic about you. They're not just signing you because you're a type or
Yeah.
whatever, fill the hole. So it's really about signing the people that you really want to work with.
And you can tell in that meeting, you can get a back and forth, which
Yeah.
leads me, I just want a quick question. What is the SAG rules about breaking a contract?
I'm unsure if they've actually changed. It's been a while since I've looked into it, but I believe it was 3 months. I believe it was 3 months. That there was no, like, if you never got any auditions or anything, you can break the contract.
The contract is null
Yeah.
and void. I do
Yeah,
believe that's right.
yeah. But
But
I mean,
I think in most cases, if you sign a contract with an agent or a manager and you're unhappy, they're not going to force you to stay. I think
yeah,
people get nervous about that unless you're on a series and then they want you to stay. I
yeah.
think. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, like, if you book a series, we want you to stay, and because then we want to go find you a movie when you're open,
Right.
And I think, hey, seeing all the time where book somebody on a series and they end up going to a bigger place or going to just another place, sometimes even a lateral move, but it is what it is, but you still get that money, and and that's in the end, like,
You worked hard. How does
yeah,
it feel? Because, actors get so much rejection, but agents and managers get rejection too. When your
oh yeah.
clients leave you, oh, it stabs you in the heart, doesn't it?
It does. It sucks. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, sometimes it doesn't, and you're like, bye. But, like, I mean, if I'm being honest, like, it just depends. But
Right. Yeah.
it does hurt, because especially if you are part of their team, like, you watch them grow. Like,
Yeah.
you there and you get
Participated in their
that's
career.
yeah, and then you made their career, and then it's then. But you kind of have to tell yourself that's the nature of the business. It sucks, but, like, I mean, that more on the, I think, on the agent side. I think as a manager, is like, you can keep clients, but even if you're a small shop, you still have the threat of somebody bigger coming after
Yeah.
you.
So how you, Scott, so we can get to know you,
Yeah.
how do you deal with it? Do you exercise? Do you eat a hamburger? Do you cry? What do you do to process
Well,
rejection?
not counting the pandemic, have a glass of wine, but
Yeah.
in the pandemic, a bottle. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, no,
But
I
do you,
mean, you
talk,
just,
do you rant about it? Do you talk to people about it? Do you put it inside as a psychology major? You get it out?
I'll be in, if I was in the office, I'd be like, I'd be like, F them, but like, but I think it got to a point where, and this might not be the best like mindset, but it's, you become numb to it. I
Mm,
think, and you're like, it is, you kind of have to tell yourself it's the nature of the business. You're not going to like, look, as an agent, and a manager calls you and like says, hey, the client's leaving, you don't want to sit there and get mad at the manager. You're like, hey, actors are gonna come and go. Like they listen to their friends, and you think, and we've lost people because their friends said like, oh, you should go somewhere else.
uh, yeah,
Or hey, wife or
yeah,
husband, you know,
yeah,
it's all different scenarios. But
right.
I was during my assistant time, I learned right away, don't ruin a relationship with a manager over a client, and I think vice versa. And
That's incredibly great advice because
yeah,
why? You don't want to have obstacles because it is a mindset, just as actors have that mindset, because actors get the no's all the time and they have to keep mindset and going, just
yeah.
like you guys have to go. And you don't want to ruin relationships in any capacity.
No. And I mean, hey, like they did come and go, and then you just, as agents, you send, if they say they booked a series or whatever, or even a film and it had sequels, you send your protection letter and you go after it, especially if they're under contract. And you're like, look, let's collect the money because at the end, that's like, all right, well, as long as you're protected. And then, as a
And,
series,
and not to say that you're heartless because you keep talking about the money, but it is a business and you are an
yeah,
agent to procure the work. And then as a manager, you're hand holding their careers and you
yeah,
want to get paid. I just want to say, I really respect agents and managers because world who's listening, you guys work for free until they get a job, which is a big investment.
yeah. No, and it's not about being heartless. And yeah, I'm saying money a lot, but it's really, I mean, in the end, everybody wants to make money, and
They
that
do.
really, and that's just really the extent of it. Is
Yeah.
okay, as an agent, if clients left us, we're like, okay, protection letter, just so we continue to get the commission or whatever.
I'm on your side. I
Oh
totally
yeah,
1000%.
but no, but in the end, it does suck, and like especially if you're part of somebody's career. And then and yeah, with all that side, like, hey, that's kind of how we handle it. And then you just try to move on. But
Yes, you
it's
just try to move on. Yes.
yeah, it's you don't want to kill yourself over it. It's everything is a marathon. You tell your clients everything is a marathon, not a sprint. Your career is a marathon, not a sprint. Tomorrow another breakdown. You know,
Another
uh,
potential job.
I have some lines I would say. I don't really want to say it on here, but
But say it, say it. I
like,
like it.
I would just say like if I really got pissed off about somebody leaving, I just like I'll find someone that looks like you with a better attitude. And so, but like it's just more of a joke and more of a way of to vent and laugh at the situation. Try to
Yes,
laugh to hide the pain.
I love
Um,
it. What
yeah,
is what is the difference and why and what is your role now? And let's talk about your new job.
yeah,
So agent, let me just clarify for the people listening. And I know the answers pretty much, but I'm just going to reiterate. Agent has a lot of clients in a bigger, most likely a bigger company where it's you can't have the hand holding. And also a manager is really to help with the other aspects of your career, not just giving you the audition and making your deals.
yeah,
So the agent is a bigger in sales, I would think, and the manager becomes it's really almost the same thing, but a manager becomes on the a closer guide.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
no, I mean, I think that
elaborate.
if you're a manager, the definition of managing is you are managing your client's career. You're
Yeah,
consulting, you're giving proper consultation. There are managers out there that basically just act like agents. And as an agent, I felt like I was doing more managerial stuff. But as a manager, and what I love is, David would say this. It's kind of corny, but I do love it, and it makes sense. Is that a manager, you take the busy out of your business, and that's kind of what you do. You handle like, say you can still go after and, introduce your clients to casting and try to get, appointments and whatnot. But really you want to, make sure that everything is, handled so they don't have a stressful like day. Say they have a, theatrical audition, commercial audition, then maybe you have to go do a shoot or something. You sit there and you handle all the scheduling that they literally just need to know an address and a time and be there. And yeah, and just handle like, hey, you got to shoot out of the city, like, okay, handle the travel. you just deal with everything and manage their career. And also that goes along with the fact that like, an agent sends, the client an appointment, like, okay, do we really want them in this, or is this the right role? And be able to, speak for, the client in a way, and will allow and have the client know that we, have their best interests at heart. I sit there, I was like, I'm a very honest person, and I will speak my mind. And going into this job, I've told all the clients, I'm like, I will speak my mind, and I will let you know, and I want you to speak your mind to me, so we can, because I just want the best for everybody. And, so it's, yeah, I mean, and that's why when, as a manager, if you have a smaller list, you're able to do that. You're able to, give that consultation, give that, be able to handle, their business, and let the client know that they are a business, and like, and you yourself, is a business, and is your career, and, making sure everything is aligned right. I don't think, even as an agent, I sit there and a client was posted something, and I was like, no, don't do that, like, and try to jump in just because you want to protect them. You want, again, their best interests at heart.
Yeah, because it is a business, and you
It
have
is,
to.
yeah.
I think actors sometimes forget they're just thinking about getting the job, but it's a fuller
Yeah.
picture than that.
Mm-hmm.
So, how did you meet Dave? How did you decide? Were you working with Dave at Armada Partners? Were you
Yeah.
working with him as an agent? Is that how you met him? Tell us the
Yeah.
story.
So, and I'm going to go back to your Costar question too, because I didn't answer
Oh
it.
yes, thank
But
you.
so
Dave all over the
Dave
place.
and I have known each other for a while. We've been in a couple groups where you're sharing info, and and you're just reps helping reps, and
Yeah.
but then for about the last year and a half, I think it was a year and a half, we shared a client. So and then when I was thinking of making a change, him and I had a talk, and we kind of already had a rapport with each other. We already knew how each other worked. Personalities clicked. And so it just it seemed like a hit, like an mutual appreciation, and know that I think we would work together well. And
I got a good vibe with you guys. I'm wishing you guys the best together, but I already know it's the best. I can feel it.
Yeah. I mean, hey, we signed a couple people from your class, so
No.
so, and
I know everything that goes on. I know.
all right. And like, and that's the thing, and we really do. We have a really great, I would say even just banter of like knowing how to handle the day. And one of the things is like, so going in, it's like now the clients too have two managers, and be able to like just, okay, you're gonna do this one thing, let me go do this other,
And
just
do you guys, we'll get to the Costar after this question. You guys handle only in Los Angeles, or now is it Atlanta, New York, everywhere? Because
I mean, we're worldwide.
Right.
So, I mean, and as managers, I think that's the other thing is too, is like you are covering for your client more than anything, and you are handling your client's business. But I mean, of our client list, we have, I believe, 9 countries. So, we have some folks in Australia, UK, one person in France, one person in Germany,
Amazing.
somebody in Canada right now. One of the clients who's in Australia right now is really based in New York most of the time.
Right.
So he happens to be Australian, but so it's so we're right, so
Exciting. I mean, silver lining for COVID though too, for acting coaches, because my studio is now global too, and all those places, it's so fun to see actors all around the world, and it must be fun to represent, because it's just different worlds, just to expand. It seems exciting to me.
It really is. Yeah.
And when I signed those clients from the classes here, we're doing the happy dance, because we don't just coach and train actors to get better. We want their success. We're their cheerleaders underneath.
Yeah. And you guys have been doing a great job. I mean, you can tell even a difference over a month, and because they're just, because those are also the clients that I love to work with, who are just ready to continue to continue working on their craft. I'm a big sports guy, and I always sit there like, that's why when you find the right coach, it's somebody who's gonna make you bigger, faster, stronger. I mean, that's just like a metaphor, but like, you find the right teacher who is gonna let you fall on your face in class, so you don't do it with casting. And and that's always been, and like, I can tell. I mean, we got a tape from Ailey yesterday, and I was like, damn, I can already tell a difference, for
Amazing.
After a month, and it's great. And I think and that's one of the things that I get attracted towards clients, what I want. And even when, you asked earlier, like when you meet with a potential client, I'm a big like personality first, and then your work ethic, and then like, and your work. And
then if you're good.
And if you're good, like, but And everyone was
No.
like, well, people will be like, oh, well, if Brad Pitt came across your desk, I'd be like, well, he better have a good personality. No. But
Draw the
and
line.
that thing is, that's how it was. And we always sit there and I'd be the one that like didn't talk, but I'd listen. And then if I really liked them, then I engage and just go for it, so.
And what is that? What would be the perfect meeting? We're going to get back to that co-star question, but
Yeah,
what
no.
would a perfect meeting be? That the person, the actress coming in is just really connected to themselves, has a lot to offer, isn't too self-indulgent. I'm giving you answers, but what would it look like for you in a good meeting? So if anyone ever, got a meeting with you after listening to this or whatever, what would it be?
I don't know if there's a such thing as a perfect meeting, but I think what it is for at least me, and I think every rep is different. Every person is different. I want to see, that your personality shines through.
Mm-hmm.
We've met some people that are very timid, but that's just the way they were. But then you sit there and you realize, okay, you have a shell that you need to break out of. But
Right.
so like, and I don't mean you have to be gung ho and like, in like so much energy, but it's like
Right.
more, you have a personality, you have a work ethic, even if say if you don't have much of a resume, but you're like, I'm doing this, this, and this. This is also what I'm good at. This is all, say you were an athlete or, you know, military, whatever it may be, like, just, I want to know anything and everything because it's all
Right.
ammo, for us to, and us to get enthusiastic about. And then you look at the footage then, but the other thing is too, is that I think everyone will talk about an it factor. I
Mm-hmm.
think the it factor is a personal preference. Like you sit there and you'd be like, okay, there's something about this person that
Right.
I like.
Right.
And I'm like, and when they're in the room, they're gonna like, they have that, it's just a charisma. It's just
Well,
a,
it's all subjective because
yeah,
you could think that person has an it factor and then they can go in and then no one else sees it. They
yeah,
don't like that person. So
yeah,
it's all subjective. That's why you really have to believe in yourself so much.
yeah, you
That is the
do.
driving force.
Yeah, and that's when it goes into the fact of like, for the actor to find the right rep. If they feel like they know that there's something about you,
Right.
and even like there's a lot of potential, even if it's something that you have to work on your craft, and over time, then that's somebody that you should consider. And I think, I mean, we did that as an agent. We met with the kid, and I think he didn't get his first credit until like, God, like a year and a half in or
Wow.
whatever. But then once he did it, then he booked. I think he booked. It was a small co-star on a HBO show, but it was like, okay, that, and then boom, a lead of a pilot. And
Wow.
so because you just know, like, okay, all you needed was that one thing,
Yeah.
and and again, use your words and spin it.
Yeah.
So
Use
you
your
know,
words and spin it. I love it.
yeah,
So let's go back to the co-star. So
yeah,
what if you do start building your resume with co-star? Is there a trap to do too many? My philosophy is work begets work. And if
yeah.
you're an artist, there's a story to tell in any size role. It doesn't matter to me, but I know actors feel like, oh God, I've done too many. I have to move. I can't get past it. What's your
Yeah.
philosophy on that?
I agree. Work begets work. I think also it's a case by case basis
Yeah.
with the actors.
Mhm.
If a client's going to do, if they somehow get their first credit and it happens to be that one line, or it's even just a small co-star in general that has multiple lines or scenes, sometimes those co-stars, especially on like an episodic, could be a co-star because it's budgetary reasons.
Right.
And so it actually might end up being, it says co-star, but actually might be a bigger role. I mean, we've seen co-stars look like a top of show guest star and vice versa. But never trying to go back. If you're going to do this one co-star and then you go do this other thing, we're not going back down to a co-star. That's not the
What
goal.
if you, so what if they got an offer for a co-star, then a guest star, and then another co-star? You would turn that down. You would think that would be a wrong move to make.
Well, the other aspect of that is like, what's that co-star? Because I
Okay.
think, what it would be too is like, okay, what is that co-star, which project it is, and who's it opposite of? Because if you go do a co-star on Bones
Mhm.
and, network, like standard network procedural, and then you go to a guest star on something else, and then like say Breaking Bad or True Blood, it was some
All these shows are off the air, Scott,
off
but
it.
okay.
Yeah, no, yeah, I know. But there's like right in my head, and Breaking Bad posters right there. But like, yeah, I mean, how
Good
Game of
show.
Thrones, any of those big premium
Right,
shows,
right.
um, Queen's Gambit. There you
Yeah.
go. Then it'd be okay. Well, it's a more prestigious show that might be a little bit more worth it. And then I think that's kind of where the going back might be a factor. So but again, it depends on the client. and depends
And
on.
also explain, because sometimes a co-star is just financially, that's why it's called a co-star.
Mhm.
So, and it's in their budget that way. So it could be a smaller role, but it could be the same size as a guest star.
Yeah, it can.
For people
Um,
that are listening, some people don't understand the difference. So clarify. Is it just a
well, I
big
mean, I
role
think
or is it a
what it
salary?
is because they sit there and depending on the scheduling of the shoot of like say an episodic, they have to book the actor for a certain role for a week or so, and then they have to put them on top of show because that's just the way it's scheduled and the scenes are. But a co-star could be 1 or 2 days, and you're getting that smaller rate, but it just your scenes are meatier,
Yeah.
and so it's really just comes down to the budget of the shoot, and that's why sometimes we've seen uh, clients get a co-star and we're like, okay, and then get an upgrade to a top show guest star, and the co-star was meteor, and we're like, okay, well, we want to use that in front of like your reel or whatever it may be, so it's yeah, it just varies, and especially now, COVID purposes, like you're seeing more productions get the costs get more increased because of COVID and testing and all that, but
Mhm.
the roles being a little bit lesser.
I haven't noticed because actually, right now at the studio, people have just booked some really big things,
Yeah,
but whatever. It's all coming back. That's my
yeah,
philosophy. It's all going to come back. It's coming back now. They're figuring out how to make it work. And then,
yeah. There's
we're,
been some successful shows, and like SWAT was like one of the first ones to start back up, and they've been
yep,
very successful. And
yep,
there's some others like obviously All Rise and Big Sky just premiered, and and all the others, and so
yep,
there have been some success. It's just like,
sure,
but then you're also seeing that there's like there's stuff coming out, but then it's like it's just lesser than what you're used
yes,
to. That's
right.
normal, but I've always been saying people find a way. Human beings find a way, and we will find a way.
We
And
will find a way. We are resilient, and this industry has to come back. The world
yeah,
needs us. It is coming back, but it's going to come back tenfold. Do you think because of COVID and how everything's just starting up again, that December when everything shuts down, do you think that's not going to happen and everything's going to be pushing through and it's going to change the whole process of the idea of the pilot season?
I don't know. I mean, I think I like to be optimistic and hope everything goes and there isn't a shutdown, but I'm still thinking there might be. But I think when it comes to we finishing out the year, we got what next week's Thanksgiving and 3 weeks left, and then you have your standard shutdown. But I think come
That's what I'm
2021.
saying. I'm just
Oh,
saying about the standard shutdown. Do you think they're not going to do that and keep production going to make
oh,
up?
sorry, I missed. Oh, yeah, I misheard you. Sorry, yeah. Oh, that's something I have had discussions with people. But from what we're seeing is that productions are having hard outs like that, mid December. So I
Oh,
was I was curious though because I was sitting there, I'm thinking, I'm like, are people going to try to power through and get another episode or two in if it's an
yeah,
episodic or whatever it may be?
yeah.
We'll see. I mean, I think things were probably still going to shut down for the holidays, but I've seen some shows that have like. Uh, a hard out at like the 18th, or the 14th. But that's not. I haven't
Because
heard.
I was curious, I thought maybe production would even extend through December, maybe just take that 1 week off because they've been shut down for so long to make up for the lost time.
Yeah, no, I thought so too, but it doesn't seem like it's happening from everybody
Interesting.
I've talked to, and
Huh.
but I believe they have just like an earlier start date in January.
Uh,
So sometimes shows will come back mid-January, or late January, but now it's going to be I think a lot earlier.
okay.
Pilot season. I mean, what we're seeing with the standard network pilot season is that each year, the last few years, it's been less and less scripts.
Yes.
There's also the pilots that they were in the middle of shooting and they're recycling for this next cycle,
Right.
or they might not at all. And then there's some new ones that people bought because I mean they were buying people develop production studios and everything were buying left and right in the
Yeah.
summer because they
Yeah.
were like, oh crap, the joke was everyone's going to watch all of Netflix, and I feel like people have and
Yeah.
and you're going to need new stuff. So you see we see some pilots in the works now for the cycle, but I think it'll be a lesser amount of scripts. But like everybody says, pilot season's year round now.
It is year round for sure.
Yeah, yeah, because
So
besides
when you
network.
give out an appointment to an actor and then the actor doesn't call you back, is that grounds for dropping that person? Or that they're too lax in calling you back or they miss too many appointments? Is that cause you to be like, to lose interest?
There's definitely red flags in that scenario.
Yeah.
I think,
I mean,
what,
not that I would know any actor that would do that, but I hear stories.
uh, there have been stories. I've heard it more from the commercial side.
Mm.
But for us, like I've always had a system in place where, especially at the agency, we're sending out appointments. And in my mindset, I'm like, everyone has a cell phone and you have your emails. Like you can look at, and if you don't have it dinged or notified, I'm like, I don't know why, especially when you're an actor, you need to like, if you have an audition, that's your,
You need your ding to be dinging as an actor.
right? And if you're not, you're like, you have an audition coming in and you want to know about it. But we always had like, by the end of the day, or if it was like, okay, this is due tomorrow, like right away, then like, okay, right when we send it, we're texting or calling.
Yeah.
And like, so, but if a client doesn't, I think that's the thing too, is like for me, if a client doesn't call back, part of that I think is on me because I didn't reach out, or the fact that you did reach out, they didn't call back and they didn't respond to the email, and you're like, what the hell? And then you're like, what happened? And if it happens more than once, that's when you can be like, what is going on? And it's like, okay, do we have to part ways or not? So I think it's kind of you take it as it goes. But for us, like there are some clients where, to just text or call them like the second you email them, because you'll be like, okay.
I just can't believe any actor wouldn't. I mean, that is your job and that is your passion to get work. So, I mean, I don't know if fear comes into some of these actors. I'm not saying any of your actors would ever do that. I'm just bringing it up because it's a no-no. It is a for sure no-no.
Yeah. No, I've seen people like, they were like, can you call me when you haven't, like when you send me an email? Because they were not looking at their emails. And I'm like, okay, well.
Okay, fine.
Everything is emails. So
yeah. Do you and Dave, do you share everything with your territories of the casting directors and all the projects, or do you split it and share? I mean, what is it?
I mean, right now we're been working together for over a month and we're sharing everything. So it's like, again, all the clients have two managers, and it's more of like just bouncing ideas off each other. And I could be like, okay, I'm jumping on this call, and then David will cover everything, and then vice versa. So and it's like,
so cool. I love you guys. You guys are the coolest.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, and because we're also looping each other in on everything.
Yeah.
So it's not like, okay, this is mine. I never liked that. I never liked that mentality where I was like, for me, I was like, because even you're like, where does the appointment come from? I was like, I don't care as long as the client gets the opportunity. I think I could, you could pitch, and all of a sudden, like as an agent, I'd be like, I pitch, and all of a sudden the appointment went to the manager, and or it's vice versa. And I'm like, whatever. Client has the opportunity, so that's all that matters.
I agree. So I think it's great that it's a teamwork because it creates I don't know. I just think it's great that way.
Yeah.
So can you give the actors out there some tips on what they should be doing in their career to further their career, how they stay on that path to getting an agent, to getting a manager, and do actors need both an agent and a manager?
No. I don't. No. I'll say that in the sense of like right away, especially you don't need one. I think it helps as your career goes. Like, it's a good idea to have both, because like especially as you get bigger.
Yeah.
Like if your resume gets bigger, you want that manager to help deal with the business and deal with everything. All the little things, so your life is easier. Right. But then I would say a lot of times actors think they need both like right away. It's honestly just find that one.
Either one.
If you're starting out, maybe either or. Who's going to believe in you when you really also are just starting out, or you're just training, you don't really have the resume.
Yeah.
What was the first part of that question? Because
I don't even remember. I think I can't remember.
Oh, no problem.
Oh, do they need both or just
one? Oh no, I don't think they need. Yeah, like I said, I don't think they need both right away. It wouldn't hurt, but and sometimes even as an agent or even as a manager, you find somebody and you're like, okay, and then you can call like say some agents and you're like, we should meet this person, and like maybe just kind of have a team. But at the same time, it's also as manager, like if it's me and I find somebody and you really believe in them, it's like, do you really need an agent right away? Let's get things going. Let's get, your materials better. Let's get that one thing that you need, and then, and go. But I think, the tips. Yeah. I think, honestly, kind of over this talk, it's the tips have kind of been there where it's really like, don't just go for anybody just to have them. I mean, how you might just that's maybe all you want is auditions, and you just want to work, and you don't care if it's 100 co-stars. But because yeah, you can get kind of trapped in that category because all of a sudden casting will be like, oh, we really want somebody good. Oh, so and so would be great because we can count on them to do this role. And
Mm.
that's when, as a manager and agent, you'd be like, no, and so, but I think it's everybody has to network, whether you're a rep or an actor or writer or director. Like you want to go out and network. You want to meet the right people.
How do you do that during COVID? How do you get out there and network?
Ooh,
Suggestions.
there's been what are we talking about? I mean, try to find some groups.
Yeah.
Even inside your acting classes. Get close to people, work with people, Zoom, even outside of like say they're working with you. Like, hey, let's do something. Let's work together on Zoom, and then maybe it's your other acting
Well,
students.
and also we bring in guests, so that's a way to network. But I'm saying
Yeah,
if not, so I guess really to get into that community, to get into a studio that has that community that supports the opportunity.
yeah, and it really does. And you can find some people that you can become close with, and we've had clients that do that. Like they all of a
Yeah,
sudden they've met somebody,
yeah,
and and then they would do stuff on the side, working, making themselves better.
yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of hard during COVID, and you're constantly doing Zooms. And I remember when it first started out, I had some friends who are like, "Oh, just do Zoom drinks all the time." I'm like, "That sounds awful," and I'm like, "I'm good." No, and then those same people were like, "Oh yeah, they got tired of it after a month," and it's like, so,
Right,
but
right. You've signed some people from Zoom. You haven't met anybody from my studio, but you signed them, so you
yeah,
saw their work. And it's really important for actors out there to know that you can communicate in your Zoom box. You can
yeah,
communicate clearly.
really can.
There's a resonation that happens.
I think there is.
Everyone's on
Yeah.
TV.
And that's the one thing you need to people I think need to work on because one, I mean, once vaccine comes and people can be in the room with
Yeah,
casting and producers, that's one thing. But it goes along with the self tapes. Like, I mean, the thing is, like, make sure you have the best self tape studio at home because even before COVID, they were becoming more prominent. And when some people know you, so you want something that's going to even pop off the screen because yeah, the one thing you're missing is that in person energy, that charisma, like where sometimes that's all it needs to book the role.
mhm.
But making sure you pop off the screen. I was used one. We had one time when a client pre-COVID was like he auditioned with a red camera, and I was like, holy crap! Like so, and it blew casting away. I'm not saying everybody do a red camera because you can see
Right.
literally every detail of your skin, but it's like. But it's something that it made it pop, and him considered to be part of the project, and he was in consideration for the role. Didn't go his way, but that was the win, anyways. And so,
So
yeah, I mean,
great lighting,
really,
great sound, great taping, great
yeah,
setup.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I would say it's for us. Like we signed definitely through Zoom. People we peruse inquiries and stuff, but and then yeah, you just try to network, ask your friends, hey, who their reps are. It is an interesting time because people are being a little bit more strict about signing because they have their current roster that they're caring about and they need to care about until it's really things are opening up and they can either expand or make cuts or whatever it may be.
Right.
So
But there's
uh,
always some place that's looking for you out there, actors.
yeah,
If you don't, there's somebody out there. Like every
yeah,
relationship, there's always going to be a relationship
yeah.
out there.
Yeah, and it's always
So,
do your research. Don't just do a blind inquiry. Do your research.
mm.
Many mistakes. I always joke that if you spell my name with two T's, I'm not going to consider you. But
I
like,
know I was going to introduce you today with Scott with one T. I totally forgot to.
but I mean, I only say that jokingly, but it's more of like, yeah, do your research. And when somebody would be like, oh, congrats on this booking, and I was like, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And so like, so it's like really kind of look at the roster, see if people are your type or not, or whatever, especially with agents and then or even managers, and just try to find, yeah, just do your research and try to network and just but keep working on your craft, keep working on you
Yes.
because again, the acting coaches might uh, uh, recommend you to a rep. The casting directors that show up might, so you do those things like, especially during early pandemic in the summer when everybody was doing the virtual meetings and the casting calls and stuff. And I was like, I mean, it seemed a little crazy, but you never know
Great
what,
opportunity. Great
yeah,
opportunity.
you never know what's going to come from it. So, and yeah, I mean, that's the thing too, is you, as a rep, we've been recommended clients by casting, producers, directors, acting coaches, your family, like whatever it may be, you know. So
Right.
it's
No,
like, yeah,
no.
yeah, you never know. Just keep working and keep doing things, and then that stuff will come.
Scott, you're so amazing. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming
You're kind.
today and hanging out with us. Guys, stay courteously aggressive. We'll have you back again. And I wish you so much success at Armada. I can't say that name so much. Armada Partners. It's a tongue twister for Shari Show. Armada Partners. Thank you so much. Have a rocking rest of your evening.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for listening, everybody. And we'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.